Welcome back to another episode of Unpacked. I'm so glad you're joining us today. We have taken a bit of a hiatus, and a few weeks ago, we celebrated our 6-year anniversary.
Yes,
yeah,
I'm
wasn't
so-
that wonderful?
Yes, great.
And so for those of you that we had Q&As, and for those of you who had answered the questions, we have your gifts on the way. So thank you all for participating. We had a great time and a great fun show. But now we are back to work. And I want to give you a little bit of an update on what we're doing for the rest of this year. So we're in September, October, November, and December. We're going to be doing something slightly different for season 2. We're going to be only having one show per month. And so what we'll do is we'll just highlight and recap the entire series in one show. So I want you to look out for us at the end of each month. We will be back, okay? So for now, we want to talk about the PartE series we've been on in our church, at Embassy, and maybe where you are. We're talking about communities and getting together in your community. And so we have a special guest today, as we always do, my sweetheart, Timmy. And we have a bonus guest today. Please welcome Charlotte Gambill.
Yeah! So happy.
Yay! Thank you for being here.
So
what a
good.
wonderful treat.
Yes.
Yeah,
very much
wonderful
so.
treat.
Very much.
We have been talking about communities, getting involved and supporting your local church as you grow. And it's what we've been doing here at Embassy. And so for this series, we've been talking about PartEs. And
PartEs with
that
an
is
E.
with an E.
It's an E.
With an E. So we are getting involved at Embassy City Church, but wherever you are watching from, if you're not from here, if you're not in our Vitamin E church with us, whatever church you're from, whatever part of the world, we want to encourage you to get involved
Yes.
with your local church
Yes.
and give your gifts, what God has given you, and deposit them in your local community.
Absolutely.
So you've been talking about it for 2 weeks so far.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then Charlotte came in
Yes.
and then she broke down this word
Oh
today
my
with so
gosh,
much
it was
conviction and
so
whipped
good.
everybody's heinies. And so I just want to highlight, let's go over your first couple of weeks.
Yeah, so this PartE series was birthed out of conversations that we were having with the staff about how to engage our community and get them involved.
Yep.
And when we started thinking about names, groups was so played to me. Right. And everything that God has asked us to do here at Embassy City when it comes to what we name things has been very disruptive. So we don't call
That's
people
true.
members here, we call them residents. When somebody gives their life to Christ, we don't say it's a convert, we say they're new citizens.
True.
So we're trying to match that ambassadorial embassy tone, right?
Yeah,
Where
and language.
this church, I believe all churches are representations of heaven on earth.
For sure.
And so what is done here is a direct result of what we feel like the blueprint is up there. So PartEs was kind of a play on words. We spelled it with an E and not a Y because we wanted everyone to play their part here at Embassy.
That's right.
And so we were in Ephesians chapter number 4, where it talks about he makes the whole body fit together and every part, does their assignment. And so the first weekend, the message I taught was, let's party.
Yeah.
Because I just thought if it's a party, let's just invite people to the party.
And I'm here for a party.
Juliet is here for all the parties.
At all times.
Juliet can throw a party
Any time of the day.
right now.
That's right.
Like, that's how
Immediately.
the
This is the way I live
extrovert
my life.
grace on her is strong.
And there's never too many people.
There's never too many people.
There's never too many people.
I'm an introvert.
Me too.
So
So we're in the corner at the party.
yeah. We're in the corner at the party
We
talking to
find
each
each
other.
other.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's
In
right.
fact, that's how we met.
That's
It was
exactly
really-
right.
It's like, you're an introvert too.
Yes.
Yay.
Yeah.
Literally.
But you came to the party. And
We
that's
did. We
you
did
came
come
to the party.
We did.
And so that's the big deal.
And it's really funny because the green room we were in Australia
Yeah.
was a very lively party.
It was very lively.
I mean, and everybody was going around
Yeah.
and we kind of wide-eyed at each other and was like,
yeah.
because I think introverts have
Yeah.
An introvert.
an unverbalized
DAR.
communication to go,
Or radar.
let's
I
just
got
sit
you.
down.
Yeah,
I got
yeah,
you.
yeah.
And we sat down and we never moved
Yeah.
until it was time
And
to
then
leave.
eventually the party came to our corner because they were wondering what we were talking about.
That's exactly right. That's exactly
and then,
right.
People were sat on the arm of the chair and hanging on the back of the chair. And it's like, oh, now we're the party.
Yeah.
That's right,
It's like, the introverts actually have some influence.
That's right.
So we want everybody in parties.
Yeah.
And one of the things I talked about is that parties and the part we play in parties is not contingent on our personalities.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just for extroverts.
That's right.
And the introverts are excluded. It's not, just for outgoing people and the more reserved people are excluded. We all have to play our part in making the church be what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So Let's Party was the first week in, and then party over here.
That's
whoop,
right.
Whoop, party over there.
Week two.
That was week 2. And so I read one verse. It was just Acts 2:42.
That's all you need.
They went over the apostles' teaching.
That's right.
They fellowshipped. They ate some food and they prayed for each other.
Yeah.
And that's what should happen at a party.
Right.
That's
when
right.
we get together, we should go over the teachings so that we can strengthen ourselves there.
Yes.
And for those that have a party and everyone in the party they're a bunch of nerds and eggheads, they might go over the teachings for 2 hours, right? For those that are really like more party people, they'll be like, wasn't that word great? Yeah, it was great. Food time, let's eat, right? And so we just want people to have that experience.
Yeah.
But that's and I feel like that's when people got encouraged to actually sign up.
Yeah.
Because it was like, okay, I don't have to have like a bachelor's in theology.
Yeah. And I don't have to be the extrovert.
to be a leader of a party, right?
For sure.
You're just asking me to go over the teachings, fellowship, eat some food.
No one's going to argue with that.
Exactly. And to pray for each other.
Now, when we did the opening sort of welcome back show, you dropped a bomb a good bomb. I think it was about some new ventures that we are looking into.
Yes.
Do you feel that burden inspired the party gathering or not necessarily?
Well,
and do we want to reiterate to them what that is?
That we're looking for a new building?
Yes!
We're looking for a new building!
I need my horns again.
Yeah, so we're looking for a new building.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it was so important that Charlotte was with us.
Yeah.
On that Sunday to talk about what it means for all of us to play our part.
Yes.
And the fact that you have to bring your own batteries.
That's right. And
because
well, don't get into her stuff yet. We're almost.
Well, it ties into this new building.
It does.
Because the prophetic word that was given by God through her was that there's another vehicle you're going into.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And this has been our vehicle.
This is true.
For 5 years.
That's right.
And but clearly, if we're going to reach more people, we need a bigger vehicle.
Absolutely.
Right? As your family grows, you can't have
you might have to get a bigger
two-door sports car anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
If your family grows even bigger, a sedan doesn't even do it.
Yeah.
Right? You might need a minivan.
Yeah.
Right? If you're super fancy, you might have a Sprinter. Right?
Yeah.
But you're going to need something to house those people. And so I feel like as our family gets bigger, it needs to also get smaller.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean is the bigger a church gets, the smaller it has to feel.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens outside of Sundays.
Good.
That happens in parties.
Yeah, it does.
That happens when people are breaking down. Acts chapter number 2, Peter preaches his first sermon, 3,000 people get saved, but where they find their strength is in other people's house.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Because the synagogue was weekly, but the home can be daily.
That's right.
So your party doesn't have to meet once a week. You can meet twice a week,
and it's
whatever
a more
it
intimate
takes.
Fellowship.
That's exactly right. So
no, that's great. That's really exciting. And we just want to encourage you all watching as well. The importance of getting in a community may connect you where you don't feel connected in your own church. Sometimes some of you may go to really large churches and you may feel like, you know what? I don't even know where to go. And do they even see me?
Yeah.
And so the importance of maybe getting connected into a party in your church or a small group or whatever they want to call it. The purpose is getting connected so you can have that intimate connection so that when you come back to church on Sunday, you can feel like you are a part and you are seen in the bigger picture.
That's right. That's good.
Yeah. So for 2 weeks, you've spoke on this, and I feel like we've gotten a really great traction. We've gotten a lot of people getting motivated and signing up. So we're really happy. And then the third week, Charlotte graces us with her presence and comes in.
My friend came
And
to
I'm
see
telling
me.
you, this past Sunday, Charlotte came in and just beat the whole church up in a good way. And boy, we had a party, but it was a good Holy Ghost party, as the old saints would say,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And we had a great time. So Charlotte, would you mind talking to us about that word? That was fantastic.
Yeah, I just, I think God knows where you need to be, when you need to be, right? Our job is the obedience part. So it wasn't on my schedule or your guys' schedule.
Right.
And it just happened that I was like, wait a minute, I could land in Dallas a night earlier and maybe be here on the Sunday. And it was like, let's do it. And so the timing and just, being here. And then on the same Sunday, you had your mentors here.
Yes.
And I didn't know those guys were going to be here. And I just, when you just know God's done something to set you up.
Yes.
And then our job is then and then I had no idea about the PartE series. Yeah. And yet my message was bring something to the PartE.
Yes.
So
fantastic. The Lord worked all that out.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just really felt just to speak over the church and into the church that, we can set up all the parties we want.
That's right.
But a party is only as good as everybody's contribution,
That's
right?
That's
And I think what has happened in the church is that we've expected a certain few people to do everything.
That's right.
Which means that we just show up. But when you show up with no expectation of you to bring anything, you can easily not show up. You can easily just say, oh, well, no one will notice because they weren't relying on me to bring anything anyway.
Sure.
And I think, we've just been through this whole pandemic and everything that's happening around the world. And I think so many people have had to come to the realization, man, I thought I was more powerful than I was, right?
Yeah.
Because I think we've been borrowing the energy of church on Sunday, the bigness of our congregation.
So
we've been borrowing the energy of the pastor's preach. And all of a sudden when that was removed because we were either isolated or couldn't meet in the way we did, it all of a sudden reached all of our homes differently. We were like, wait a minute, I don't feel as powerful as I did before. And I think that understanding is that a lot of people's faith has been functional, but it's not been powerful. And so the whole emphasis of PartE is, look, you have to come into something where it's easy to come into a big room and not contribute.
That's right.
It's hard to go to a small room and not contribute.
That's right.
And if you do go to a small room and not contribute, you might get away with it once, but you can't keep showing up, bringing nothing.
That's right.
It's like you're the stingy one.
Yeah, that's exactly
like everyone else brought something and you never bring anything, right? Someone's eventually going to call you out.
That's right.
Which is why the PartE emphasis is so important, because that's where you begin to learn how to bring your own. And the truth is, you might never feel that you could ever bring a word to somebody across the room that you've never met. But once you've started bringing a word to someone in a small group, your confidence grows to bring a word to somebody in a bigger group.
That's right.
That's where you begin to learn how to bring your own batteries, right? It's how you begin to learn. And I use the word batteries because I was telling the church the story of I bought all this equipment for my kids for Christmas.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it looked amazing, but the small print was batteries are not included.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's what it's like in our faith with God. It's like you have to add something.
That's right.
You have to add your own faith. You have to add your own perseverance. You have to add your own testimony and thanksgiving. And that's a great thing to do through a small group setting.
Yeah.
So good.
No, it was powerful.
It
and
was so
I'm going to tell
good.
you, for those of you that haven't seen it, you must go back and tune into Embassy City on YouTube and go back and watch Sunday's sermon. It was just tremendous. I mean, she breaks down this whole thing on batteries and being charged and negative and positive and all these things. It was just so much to ingest. I mean, we all left out of there full.
Yeah, we did.
Would you say?
No, I was, it's my weekend off. I was carrying no burden, and to be refreshed in the presence of the Lord through worship, but then to be so ministered to by the word. I mean, I'm ready for the rest of the year. Like I'm good to go. Yeah.
Charlotte talked about in the midnight moments of your life. That's when you really get tested to see, do you really have the goods of what it takes? Because you talked about being plugged into other people, like you were saying, and not really truly plugged into the Lord. But when you have that midnight time, that's when the test is going to come out. Is your light really going to shine?
Right.
Or are you going to be like the 10 virgins that didn't have the wisdom and, or wasn't ready for when the time came? And that's like many of us, you know? And so I thought you spoke to so many people, Christians and non-Christians.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, absolutely.
You spoke to everybody. So it was just tremendous. Again, I encourage you to go back and watch Sunday's message.
So
yeah, anything you want to add to it, Tim?
Well, I would just say that I just want to encourage everybody. You have something to bring.
You have something to bring.
And that's what I talked about in playing your part. You don't have to have the biggest battery in the room, but you do have to have a battery.
That's right.
Everybody's at different faith levels.
Right.
And so you'll have some people that come in with 4 batteries. I mean, but they've been charged up for a long time. They might have been in their faith like our parents, over 50 years, right?
Yep.
And you might have somebody that has 2 AA batteries.
That's right.
2 AAA batteries,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But there has to be a spark somewhere. There has to be a light somewhere. And when you get around other people that are building up your faith, it just helps you in ways that you never thought possible.
Yeah.
So I'm huge on therapy, right? I think everybody in the world needs 2 types of people in their life. A good masseuse and a good therapist, right? That's what's kept me sane and not striking the rock twice all these years. But what I say is in all the one-on-one counseling that I've received in my life, it got exponentially greater when I went to group therapy. One-on-one counseling let me see from my point of view, but in group therapy, it was like seeing my POV, the wide crane shot, the drone shot flying overhead, the wide angle off to the side. There's power in group. And God made us for a relationship. It was God who said in Genesis chapter number 2, it's not good that Adam should be alone.
That's right.
God was literally saying, I'm not enough. As long as you're down there and I'm up here, I'll never be enough for you. Now, I know for the super sanctified, they're like, I can't believe blasphemy. I can't believe you just said God is not enough.
We've lost 3,000 viewers just right now.
But the truth is, God knows how important relationship is. And his son
human interpersonal
is the
relationships,
one who confirmed it, because he wouldn't go to the top of the mountain by himself, and he would not go to the garden by himself. He made sure he had somebody with him. Even though they couldn't do anything to change it or fix it, he knew the power of relationship. Would you just please hang out with me while I go through this incredibly dark moment of my life? And so the power that being together produces goes beyond what you experience on Sunday. Well, the Sunday gathering is good enough for me. I don't need anything beyond that. But the altar call does one thing for you, but accountability in a group does something far greater. And when we start living our lives out with people, that's where the relational equity and the depth of experience grows.
And I think relationally, when you commit to a relationship, you're committing to changing the proximity of your life. I think a lot of people, they do church, but then, they have no closeness to anything else outside of that Sunday. And you can be in a crowd and be lost. And that's your choice.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And so I think every time you change your proximity, you begin to either distance or increase your intimacy.
That's right.
Right?
That's good.
So if you want to have a relationship with Christ that is intimate, you got to change your proximity. Christ doesn't have to. You got to draw near to him.
That's right.
And if you want to have relationships with people in your community, in your church, you got to change your proximity, which means getting your car and driving to someone else's house.
That's right.
Which means hanging out and having a coffee.
Right.
You can't say that the church doesn't care if you're living a life that says, well, come find me, but I'm actually out here hiding.
Exactly.
Right?
It's so good.
So we got to take the responsibility on ourselves. And I think a lot of times the church has been blamed for the lack of relationships that they filled in people's lives. But that person has never actually put themselves in, right? So I think, and then I think sometimes people say, well, I don't need it, right? I don't need it. And you might not. You might have great friends, but somebody needs you.
Right.
So it's good. Even just changing that for the mindset to go, well, my life's full and I have great relationships. Well, I'm really glad you do. But actually now you have a responsibility because you're older in the faith or you have built those things to step into the gap for someone else that actually needs that from you. So it's understanding that we have to choose our proximity to the miracle, to the breakthrough in people's lives. You can either be an outside witness or you can be upfront and involved. And when Jesus invited them to be in relationship, the disciples, they had to change their proximity.
That's right.
They had to leave their boat.
That's right.
They had to get up.
That's exactly right.
He said, follow me.
That's
he didn't
right,
say, I'm
exactly.
going to camp here and then come find me.
No.
I'm going to come to your house and look for you.
No.
He said, you're the one whose proximity has to change.
That's exactly right.
And I think some of us are missing out on the best relationships. We're missing out on the best conversations because we're frightened of the proximity.
Right.
Because when you're close to someone, they know the real you.
That's exactly
and
right.
a lot of people in church, nobody knows the real, which is why in the midnight moments, there's nothing that comes off them because they've not built around their life something to help them in those moments. And so I think oftentimes our lack of proximity is to do with our sense of insecurity, right?
So
but when you're secure, you can put yourself in a group and like, I'm an introvert, but you know, I chose today to come. Right? I chose to be at the church on Sunday. I chose to change my proximity.
That's right.
And I think and then because I was in the room and not on a screen somewhere, God could do something in the room that would be different if I was on a screen.
That's exactly right.
And so the people that watch online, that's great. But eventually you need to be in the room.
That's right.
So like to anybody that's like watching this and you've become a new online church person, and that's great. I'm glad that church has been able to come to you. But you have to understand that you also have to get up and get involved because it will never be the full gift that a relationship can be until you're actually in a proximity where you can be real. And you might say, well, I've been hurt by the church. Well, join the club. I've been hurt by the church too, and I still have to show up. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes our showing up is not to do with our feelings. It's actually to do with our obedience. And some of the things that you're asking God for, you're praying about, I'm telling you, God has put the answer in people. And you will not find the answer until you change your proximity. You're sitting at home saying, I need this miracle. I need this miracle. But that woman with the issue of blood, she also needed a miracle. But something inside of that day said, I think I need to get closer to Jesus. I think I need to get into the crowd. I think I need to get amongst. And it was awkward for her and difficult for her, and people had let her down. And maybe that's you sat at home and maybe you just happened to watch this. And I'm just letting you know, maybe there's something in you that has to push past the crowd and get back into community, because your healing is going to come through the proximity of your life change.
So good.
So good.
It's so
Come on. Good job. Minister to the people. Charlotte, come on now.
And I just want to say, going back to personalities and stuff, before pre-pandemic, we hosted a party at our house. And
that you initiated, which I was quite surprised.
Yeah, I
because
really,
he's the introvert.
Yeah, but I really felt like it would be incredibly disingenuous for me to tell our congregation, we want you to be connected. And then we weren't hosting.
We weren't partying it up.
A party. And, you know, there's so many things that, you know, a lead pastor would say, here's 10 reasons why you should never do that. Right. But I just felt like, you know what? We're going to, you know, make sure that the people are actually from our area, that no one's driving 30 miles just because we're hosting the party.
Passing 20 parties on the way to get to our house.
We want to go to that party, right?
No.
And the first time people showed up, I just said, hey, we're so glad you came. We're going to be doing life with you. Please don't make it weird. Right. Just don't make it weird. Tim, Juliet, I know we lead the church, but this is our party. We want you to be here. And we grew with those people and their kids and their families. And, you know, it only took like 3 weeks before we figured out where the stuff was stinking and what needed to be prayed for and what was out of balance and stuff.
That's anything with people.
That's anything with people.
It's
but we were just doing life and it was so good and I missed it so much. And so I'm grateful that
in fact, I was the one going to bed at 9 o'clock and leaving him to round him up. I was like, I love y'all.
Yeah. Because I do love them. Like I love people. They just drain me. And so when I'm done, then I'm just like, oh, right. But while I'm with them, it's a real charge.
Fully engaged.
So all that to say, you have no excuse. That's the bottom line. You have zero excuse to not be in a party, and it's, you know, I bet you're not in a party. We host one. We throw parties. This is what we do. And I think if we make this the rhythm of our lives, we will grow into richer and richer relationships in a way that will never happen on the weekends.
Well, listen, this has been a really fun and engaging conversation. Charlotte, thank you.
Yes,
so
thank you
much.
so much.
You know, Charlotte is an amazing conference speaker, conference host, preacher, pastor, everything you can think of. She is it. And we are so grateful that she blessed us to brave the couch today and come on our show and be a part. So Charlotte, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Timmy, thank you for your input and the heart, because it is important to get involved. And so again, I encourage you to get involved. And just to close out, I want to say, adjust your perspective. Charlotte brought a good point up about proximity. It's not about you. And I think oftentimes we think it's all about us, and we only have a very one-sided perspective of, well, I don't need it, but yes, somebody needs you. So change your perspective and just see what God would do just because you gave that tweak. Thank you so much for joining us this week. I'm so glad we're back. And until next week, we'll see you again. God bless you. Unpacked.